Please be seated.
On the record.
All right, thank you. And let's go ahead and set forth our appearances. We'll start first with the plaintiffs and we'll move to the defense.
Your Honor, what counsel plan?
Good morning, Your Honor. Teddy Parker on behalf of the plaintiff.
Good morning, Your Honor. Robert Eglert on behalf of plaintiff.
Brianna Swissler and Joe Larita for plaintiffs.
Morning, Your Honor. Eric Peppermint for plaintiffs.
Brad Johnson, Tyler Watson, Mike Esposito. I think Eric Freeman's here somewhere.
Yes, Your Honor. He's just had to step out for a second.
For the
All right.
defendants.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and bring the jury in. Get started.
Your Honor, before we do so, this won't take but a second. I think I told Mr. Johnson I would bring him the exhibit I intend to use. I thought it was exhibit 153. It's actually 154, excerpts of 153. There's only one exhibit with pages pulled out. I brought a copy for Tori, so she could have a copy.
You said 154?
154, and I brought one for the witness if the witness needs it. And I told Mr. Johnson this yesterday, and I'll repeat it today for the benefit of the record. I don't know if I actually need them. I think the regulation is pretty good, but if so, this is the only reason. I'm bringing
All right,
them.
so these are records that have been admitted and you're just using selected versions of them? Is that-
Exactly.
Okay, all right,
Instead of roughly a couple of hundred pages of exhibit 153.
okay,
All right,
thank you.
all right, you're welcome.
All rise for the jury.
It's cold in here.
Yes.
Please be seated. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, good morning. All right, and it's my understanding we're gonna continue with plaintiff's case in chief. Is that correct, counsel?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And the next witness will be?
Ms. Boardnave, Your Honor.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you are about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. May I have you state and spell your name for the record?
Andrea Bordenave, ANDRIA-BORDENAVE.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. You may proceed, Mr. Parker.
Thank you so much, Your Honor. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Ms. Boardnave. How are you?
I'm good. And you?
I am good. Ms. Boardnave, please have you answer a couple of preliminary questions first. You've been here back and forth most of the days we've been in trial, is that correct?
Yes.
On the days that you've not been here, is there a particular reason why you haven't been?
Yes.
Could you tell the jury why?
Um, my father's had 2 heart attacks in the last couple of weeks. He was doing better, and then Saturday he had another heart attack, so he's back in ICU and unresponsive again. So I've been trying to handle this and that.
Thank you. And Ms. Boardnave, I asked that question just so the jury knows that this is important to you, but
Yes.
the reasons why you couldn't be here.
Yes.
I also asked that question just so the jury knows that if you seem a little preoccupied, there's a good reason for it.
Yes.
Your
Thank you.
objection is not a question.
Your Honor, it goes to her state of mind and how she responds to questions.
All right, it's a statement. Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Ms. Boardnave, how are you doing today?
I'm okay. Pretty good. Okay.
I believe you heard while you've been here that the court has determined that Real Water is responsible for your injuries because of your consumption of real water. Do you understand that?
Yes.
As a result, we're not going to spend a lot of time on those issues. Understood?
Yes, sir.
All right. So it's my understanding, Ms. Boardnave, that you were born in California.
Yes.
Okay, and where?
I was born in Inglewood, California, but I was raised in Compton, California.
And when did you move to Las Vegas?
July of 2009.
July of 2009. And do you have any children?
Yes, I have 5 children.
And are you married?
Yes,
Your husband is here?
yes. That's my husband, Randall, back there.
He and I have the same barber, I see.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson, really?
I'm there, I'm there.
All right. So, and I'm trying to keep you uplifted a little bit, Ms. Bourdonnais.
Yes, thank you.
All right. What kind of work do you do? And let's go prior to your consumption of real water.
Okay.
And in fact, let's start with your education, then we'll work in that direction.
Okay. I received my bachelor's degree in family and consumer sciences with an emphasis in early childhood education. My focus has been on children with special needs, mostly autism. That's where my passion is. I work with children with autism from 2007 up until this incident.
All right. And in terms of locations of employment, did you work in California before coming to Vegas?
Yes, I worked for the Los Angeles County of Education.
Okay. And when you moved to Las Vegas, did you work for the school district here?
Yes,
And was that Clark County School District?
yes,
And were you working with special needs children here in Las Vegas?
yes,
And were you doing that up until the time you got sick in 2018?
for the most part, yes.
All right. Now, Ms. Bourdonnais, let me ask you a question that may seem off topic for a second. Have you ever heard of the phrase, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst?
Yes,
And have you ever heard the phrase, pray that the worst never happens?
yes.
When you got sick in 2018, I believe it was in February, is that correct?
Yes.
Describe to the jury what your symptoms were, and then we'll discuss what happened next, okay?
Okay. It started with me not being able to hold any food down. I was vomiting, very dizzy, diarrhea. Then my urine turned dark and my bowels were very light. And then my eyes turned completely yellow. My skin turned completely yellow. And so I went to the emergency room because I couldn't figure out what was going on.
And from my review of the medical records, Ms. Bourdonnais, and I'm gonna try to avoid having to go through them and read them into the record, somewhere between 5 and 7 days before you presented to the hospital, you were suffering with those symptoms.
Yes.
Okay. Now, were you taken from your home to the hospital, or were you taken from work? What finally got you to the hospital?
So the Friday before this happened, I went to work and they sent me home because I couldn't function fully. And so when I noticed my eyes were yellow in the mirror, I went to the emergency room. I went from home to the emergency room.
All right. And did you drive yourself, or did someone drive you?
I drove myself.
All right.
Oh, actually, I think my husband drove me that day to the hospital.
Okay. Now, at this point, do you have any understanding, any thoughts of what's going on with you?
As far as my health,
Yes.
so I have a lot of anxiety, medical anxiety. I'm always worried. I'm always looking at my eyes and asking everyone, are my eyes okay? I have fatigue really bad. I forget really easily. My concentration is poor. I have GERD really, really bad.
Let me stop you there for a second.
Okay.
So now I want to take you back. I know those are issues you're dealing with now.
Yes.
But I want to take you back to February of 2018.
Yes.
Okay. At that point, did you have any awareness of what was going on?
No.
Okay. So then you go to the hospital. Your husband takes you to the hospital. Do you recall what hospital you went to?
I went to Dignity Health.
And that's on
room.
Craig.
Yeah, Craig and MLK was the first hospital I went to.
And when you arrived there, were you told what your condition was, or were you given any idea of why you had the symptomology that you had?
They couldn't figure out what was going on with me. They didn't know. They didn't know why my numbers were so out of whack.
And let's talk about that. Your ALT and AST, and you've heard a lot of discussion about it.
Yes,
Okay, and I think the jury's heard a lot about it. Were your numbers elevated?
yes,
And do you recall them being in excess of 2,000 in both the ALT and AST?
yes,
And what I'm trying to do, Ms. Bourdonnais, is see first if you recall this, so it saves some time in terms of putting it up on the screen. We can go through this naturally, okay?
okay, yes.
All right. And if you, for some reason, don't recall, I can always put it up on the screen for you,
Okay.
all right? So you have these elevated liver function tests. What happens next?
They transferred me from that hospital to Mountain View Hospital to try to see if they could figure out what was going on with me.
So they discovered that Craig, the hospital Dignity Health on Craig and MLK, wasn't adequate for what your symptoms presented.
Yes,
And so did they take you by ambulance from Dignity Health to Mountain View?
yes,
So now you're riding in this ambulance, not knowing how serious your condition is.
yes,
At that point, are you hoping for the best or
yes,
preparing for the worst?
yes, absolutely, yes,
Is your husband aware of what's going on?
yes,
So at that point, he's probably praying that the worst doesn't happen.
yes,
So you're taken by ambulance from Dignity to Mountain View. This is again on February 25th, 2018, correct?
yes,
Same day.
yes.
All right. What happens at Mountain View?
At Mountain View, they ran more tests, and then again said they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I think I stayed. So by this time, I was out of it a lot. I believe I stayed there a night or two, and then they transferred me from there, by ambulance to Centennial Hospital
All right.
because they couldn't figure out what was wrong.
So you're going from smaller hospital to bigger hospital to bigger hospital.
Yes,
So you're taken by ambulance from Mountain View to Centennial.
yes,
Is this another point in time where you're wondering how serious is your condition?
yes. Because when I got to Centennial, the doctor, my ALT, AST, and my bilirubin were through the roof, and the doctors did not seem hopeful for me at all.
All right. Now, I will point this out just so the jury has an understanding of this, because they'll learn this from Dr. Hudson. You were drinking real water out of these types of containers,
Yes,
not the 5-gallon jugs.
no,
All right. And you were doing so going back and forth to school.
to work, yes.
That's right. Okay. So you get to Centennial. What happens there?
The doctor told me that if I didn't get a liver transplant, that I would die within the next few days. He asked my husband if he had all of our affairs in order because he didn't think that I was going to make it. My numbers just continued to elevate, and I just continued to get worse and worse.
So this is a point when they're asking you to get your affairs in order, where your husband is praying that the worst doesn't happen.
Absolutely, yes.
And conversely, you're trying to prepare for the worst.
Yes.
Did you have a chance to speak with your children to let them know just how serious your condition was?
My children watched me go through this. My children are still traumatized. If I get a cold, they're looking to make sure I'm okay. It was very traumatic. I couldn't walk. I couldn't stand. I could barely talk. We thought I was dying. We thought I was gonna die. Went from being a completely healthy mom within 2 weeks to thinking I was dying.
And how old are your children, just for the benefit of the jury?
Now they are 25, 24, 24, 20, and 12.
And so roughly 7 years ago, the youngest one would have been 5.
Yes,
And the oldest one would have been 18.
yes,
And so dad is trying to hold down the fort at home, and you're going from hospital to hospital.
yes.
Objection leading, Your Honor.
You know, I can rephrase. I don't mind the objection. At that point, were you trying to simply figure out what was going on.
Yes, and it was really hard because my husband was trying to get everyone to school, trying to work, trying to ensure food was in the home and everything was taken care of, still trying to visit me in the hospital, trying to bring the children to see me because we, but it was a lot. It was a lot. My children also struggled with school. It was very traumatic.
Yes, ma'am. So let's see if we can paint the picture. You're in the hospital dealing with your issues, your medical issues. Your husband is trying to hold down the fort at this point, correct?
Yes.
All right. Do you have a biopsy while you're in Centennial?
Yes.
And in terms of the biopsy, do you recall that procedure?
Yes.
Can you describe that procedure to the jury, please?
They told me that they had to do a liver biopsy to check to see what was going on. I remember it was very painful, very scary. Yeah.
Do you recall why they wanted to do a biopsy of your liver?
Because they thought that I needed a liver transplant.
All right.
And they wanted to test my liver to see what was going on.
When you agreed to the biopsy, did they inform you some form of written or oral consent that there could be complications from the biopsy?
Yes.
Did they tell you that you could get some form of infection from the biopsy?
Yes.
Did they tell you that you could bleed out because of the biopsy?
Yes.
They told you all the risks?
Yes.
And you agreed to do it?
Yes.
No. Before you, and I apologize about this, I'm going to take one step back. When you were at Mountain View, do you recall your ALTs almost getting to the point of 3,000?
Yes.
So it was going in the wrong direction based upon what you were hearing?
Yes. Every day they were just climbing more and more.
All right. So now you're at Centennial. You get the biopsy, I believe, on March 3rd, I believe. Or at least that's when the readings came in, I believe. Do you recall that?
I don't recall the exact date that I received the biopsy.
All right. Let's take a look just to refresh your recollection. 154. Here we go. 154.15. Before you put it on the screen, let me make sure Mr. Johnson has it. You good with that, Johnson? All right. So 154.15 shows, I believe no, I'm asking for it to be admitted, Your Honor. It's actually taken from 153, which was admitted, I believe, but it's an excerpt of it, Your Honor. So we move for the admission of Exhibit 154.
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you. Shall be admitted.
So it indicates you had the liver biopsy. It also indicates that its findings consistent with acute hepatitis.
Yes, sir.
And I believe I was right at the top. It says textual results 3/3/2018. Right there, right below the date. You see that?
Yes, sir.
Does that refresh your recollection in terms of the timing?
Yes, sir.
All right. And so was this the first time that you were informed that you had acute hepatitis?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Shane. So you're at Centennial. You find out you have acute hepatitis based upon the liver biopsy that's done. What happens next?
They told me that I needed a liver transplant, and I was airlifted to California to USC Keck Center.
All right, so let's slow down for a second. Do you recall whether or not you were taken by ambulance from Centennial to the airport?
Yes, I was taken by ambulance.
Were you taken from the airport by Flight for Life to Los Angeles?
Yes.
And then were you taken from the airport in Los Angeles by ambulance to the Keck Hospital at USC?
Yes.
So this is another point in your time, your medical issues that you're dealing with. or you're hoping for the best, or at this point, are you preparing for the worst?
I'm absolutely preparing for the worst.
Did anyone inform you at that point how risky a liver transplant is?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
No, that's medical information.
You can rephrase it in medical terms.
Were you ever informed, as a result of your medical care from a physician, of the risk inherent to a liver transplant?
Yes.
Were you informed that you could die on the table?
Yes.
Were you informed that most liver transplant recipients or patients don't last but somewhere between 11 to 14 years?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to object again, proper foundation in terms of the question asked, and therefore it's hearsay.
Your Honor, the foundation is that she sought the medical care and she received that treatment. She has the foundation.
Over.
Thank you, Your Honor. You were informed of that.
Yes, sir.
Were you also informed that if you had a liver transplant, you would be resigned to taking immunosuppressant drugs for the rest of your life?
Yes.
So at this point, are you praying that the worst doesn't happen?
Yes.
So you get to Keck Hospital, I believe March 7th, 2018, is that correct?
Yes.
What happens when you arrive?
There was a team of doctors waiting for me at the hospital. And once I arrived, they started running tests, and they immediately started me on medications.
All right. So once you have this team of doctors looking at you, trying to figure it all out, do they ever get to a point where they say you may not need the liver transplant?
Yes.
Okay. How long were you there? Because just for the jury's benefit, just because I try to give you a chronology, you were there from March 7th to March 11th at Keck.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
How many days were you there before you realized I will not need, or you were informed that you would not need a liver transplant?
About 3 days.
Okay. Did your AST, ALT scores start going down?
Yes.
Did you had stopped drinking real water at this point?
Yes.
Is it fair to say you didn't take any real water on the ambulance ride with you to the airport?
No, I did not.
You didn't take it with you to Keck Hospital?
No.
So from this point on, you've been drinking regular water?
Yes.
Okay. So you're informed eventually that you won't need a liver transplant, but now you're dealing with being diagnosed with autoimmune hepatitis.
Yes.
Were you described or given information from your medical team on how that would affect your life going
Yes.
forward? Can you tell the jury what that means?
Autoimmune hepatitis meant that they couldn't figure out why my liver was attacking my body. And they started me on immunosuppressant medications and steroids to try and keep my liver from being inflamed and causing me issues.
Were you informed that unlike your symptomology, acute hepatitis would follow you the rest of your life?
Yes.
Okay. And I know from your medical records that you were put on steroids like you just said. Do you recall being placed on prednisone?
Yes.
Okay. How about azathioprine?
Yes.
Okay. How long were you on those medications?
Prednisone I was on, I believe, for a little over a year. And the azathioprine, I stopped taking it in, I believe, like 2021.
All right. And is it fair to say that your reliance on these steroids were reduced in terms of the dosage?
Yes.
Okay. And so are you currently on any right now?
Prednisone?
Yes.
No, sir.
How about the azathioprine?
No, sir.
All right. And it's been about 3 or 3.5 years?
Yes.
Okay. Were you informed by your medical team that 50% or greater people relapse after 4 years?
Yes.
Okay. So you understand that there's a more likely chance than not that you will have a relapse?
Yes.
Your Honor, here, leading.
I'll rephrase, Your Honor. That's not a problem. Do you have an understanding of what your relapse potential is?
Yes.
Do you have an understanding that could be within the next year.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand what a relapse would mean to you?
Yes.
Tell us your understanding of what a relapse would mean.
That I would have to go back on the medications and back to the doctor's appointments every few days, trying to get my liver panel back under control.
Do you also have an understanding that, based upon the diagnostic test, that you have a lesion now on your liver?
Yes.
Prior to consuming real water, were you ever diagnosed with having a lesion on your liver?
I was not.
So I'm going to fast forward to where we are today, okay? You were describing some of the current symptoms you still have.
Yes.
And could you tell those to us again, please?
Fatigue, GERD, absent-mindedness. I'm forgetful. I'm nowhere near as energetic as I used to be. I have medical anxiety out like you can't believe. Those are like the main things.
So you've heard some of the other plaintiffs on the stand, have you not?
Yes.
Are your symptoms similar to those that you've heard in this trial?
Yes.
So, Ms. Bourdonnais, are you getting your liver tested with any frequency at this point?
At least once a year. I'm still getting it. It should be twice a year, but I'm making sure that I get it tested at least once a year to ensure.
Do you recall Dr. Hudson? Do you remember that name? Do you know that name at all?
Dr. Hudson?
I thought you may have remembered or heard it during my opening. I don't know if you
Oh,
saw
yes.
it.
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay. Dr. Hudson will testify in this trial. If he recommended tests twice a year, would you be willing to do so for the next 20 years?
Yes,
All right. Did you hear Dr. Sands' name mentioned?
yes,
And did you ever speak with Dr. Sands?
yes,
All right. Dr. Sands, and this is not being critical, of course, Dr. Sands' recommendations for you are tied to PTSD. Were you aware of that?
yes,
Okay. Are you in favor of receiving medical care in the future for PTSD related to the trauma caused by real water?
absolutely, yes,
Do you think you need it?
yes.
How did you strike that? Ms. Bourdonnais, were you ever contacted by the Southern Nevada Health District or the CDC?
Yes,
Were you contacted by both?
yes,
And was this prior to you becoming a part of the lawsuit?
yes.
And what did they ask you or speak to you
Objection,
about?
hearsay.
No, this is a federal investigation on a document that's already been admitted.
It's hearsay, Your Honor.
Can you approach?
Yes, cool. All right, we'll continue. Thank you. May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Objection is overruled, Your Honor?
Overruled.
Thank you. You were contacted by the CDC
Yes,
and the Southern Nevada Health District?
yes.
Okay. Do you know why you were contacted?
They wanted access to my medical records to try to figure out what was going on, if I was involved in what was going on, and if I had drank they asked if I had drank real water.
Okay. And you informed them of that?
Yes,
All right. And sometime after that, you became a part of this lawsuit?
yes,
All right. Did you have any idea that when you were going through your symptoms back in February of 2018, that was related to real water?
no,
Did you give the Southern Nevada Health District access to your medical records?
yes,
And were you cooperative with the CDC and the Southern Nevada Health District?
yes,
And in terms of your autoimmune hepatitis, other than steroids, of various types of steroids, is there anything else they can do for you?
No.
You heard about Lisa King,
Yes.
and you heard the openings related to her myasthenia gravis.
Yes.
All right. You don't have that, do you?
No.
But you have something that you can never get rid of.
Yes.
Does it also, because you have autoimmune hepatitis, do you have to be aware of what you're eating more so than you did before?
Yes.
Are there other triggers that you are aware of that could lend you back into the hospital?
I'm very careful of not getting sick. I'm very careful of making sure everything is clean, keeping my hands clean. Where I go, what I'm exposed to, I'm very careful about that.
Now, because of your autoimmune hepatitis diagnosis, are you able to go back into the school environment?
No.
And why is that?
Because my doctors were afraid of my immune system being too low to be around them and, the children being exposed to germs.
And that was your passion?
Yes.
And you've lost that because of real water?
Yes.
So, Ms. Bourdonnais, is it fair to say that throughout this ordeal, the last several years, you've continued to hope for the best?
Yes.
But when it comes to your career, your desire to help children, especially autism or autistic children, that has not worked out.
No.
And in terms of you not being able to get rid of this lifelong disease, that has not worked out.
No.
You continue to pray for the best?
Continually, yes, sir.
Nothing further. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bourdonnais.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Ms. Bourdonnais, I admire you.
Thank
That
you.
was a difficult medical experience that you went through, especially at Centennial Hospital.
Yes, sir.
You ended up having to go to 3 hospitals, didn't you? Or is it 4?
There's 4.
You didn't deserve that.
Thank you.
I'm going to try to go through your examination rather quickly by basing it almost solely on questions that you've been previously asked under oath during your deposition.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
recall your deposition being taken?
Yes, sir.
I didn't take your deposition, correct?
No, sir.
You understood your deposition was under oath.
Yes.
They told you to tell the truth.
Yes, sir.
And then at the conclusion of your deposition, you were able to make any changes in your deposition that you felt were necessary?
Yes.
And did you make any changes to your deposition?
No.
Did you review your deposition preparing for your testimony today?
A couple of weeks ago I did, but
Okay.
not recent.
So you have a copy of it?
Yes.
All right. So let's start. Your deposition was taken on October 10, 2024,
Yes.
approximately 5 months ago, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And at that time, you were aware that you had previously filled out a plaintiff fact sheet in which you had provided some documentation under oath related to your claim.
Yes.
And that fact sheet was shown to you at your deposition, correct?
Yes.
I think it was Exhibit A.
Yes.
Do you need any water or anything?
I'm okay.
You're
Thank
good? Okay. You currently work, or at least I only know you from that time frame of October 2024, at least at that time, you were working at Allegiance Health / Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And you're still working there?
No.
All right. You had worked there from May 15 of 2023, and you're not working there now?
No.
Where do you work now?
I don't work right now.
Okay. So when did you leave Blue Cross Blue Shield?
December of 2024.
All right. So you left at the end of last year?
Yes.
Okay. And you're not working now?
No.
All right. And why did you leave that job?
Because I have a 12-year-old son that's with type 1 diabetes, and I was struggling trying to balance my job and manage his diabetes.
Okay, so you didn't leave that job due to real water. You were helping your son who has diabetes.
Yes.
All right. You started drinking real water in August of 2017.
Yes.
You like the taste of the water?
Yes.
It didn't taste like oil or gasoline or anything else, did it?
No.
All right. And you continued to drink real water from August 17 to early 2018. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Then you stopped drinking real water when you got sick and it wasn't in your routine anymore. So you didn't stop drinking real water because you thought it was making you sick. You stopped working, and that was when you're drinking real water coming to or from work.
Yes, sir.
That was your routine.
Yes, sir.
All right. So just so it's very clear, you started getting sick in February of 2018. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And that sickness, I think you stated it was vomiting, abdominal pain, diarrhea, fatigue. You notice your eyes were getting yellow and completely jaundiced, and your skin was jaundiced. And I can imagine that that was very distressing, to say the least.
Yes, sir.
My records show, at least according to your deposition, it's not my record, on February 26, 2018, you went to an emergency room after vomiting for about 2 weeks. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you didn't immediately run off to go see the doctor. You were waiting to see if you would get better.
Yeah, I thought I had like a stomach bug or something.
And you dealt with that for 2 weeks.
Yes.
You went to the doctor. It wasn't much help. We went through that, and I understand why. But you were transferred to Keck. That's out, is it Los Angeles?
Yes.
And they diagnosed you, and then by April or May of 2019, you began to feel better. Is that correct?
Yes.
And your last treatment with Keck was maybe at the end of 2021 with Dr. Lindsay.
Yes.
All right, so now we're about 4 years past that, correct?
Yes.
All right. Do you remember being interviewed by a Dr. Sands?
Yes.
All right. And what did that interview consist of?
Taking tests and physical tests, like putting locks and different things and keys and opening things like that.
And did he ever give any recommendations to you after your examination with him?
Yes.
Okay, and when would that have been?
I don't remember exactly when he gave me the recommendations.
Okay, but you have not followed those recommendations, have you?
I haven't had a chance to, no.
Okay.
I've been focused on my son's health.
All right. Well, at least when your deposition was taken 5 months ago, were you aware of any tests that you need to undergo in the near future?
We always test my liver, just my enzymes.
Okay. Do you recall testifying at your deposition that you were unaware of any tests that you need to undergo in the near future?
If that's okay, yes.
Excuse me?
I said if that's what it says, then yes.
Okay. So I'll ask you the question. Are you aware of any tests that you need to undergo in the near future? And your answer is?
Other than having my liver enzymes checked, no.
Okay. You're on medication currently, but that's not related to anything with real water, correct?
Yes.
And you are on anxiety medication, but again, that's not related to real water, correct?
It absolutely is related to real water.
Say again?
It absolutely is related to real water.
Your anxiety medication?
Yes.
You remember being asked about that in your deposition?
No, I don't remember.
You recall that your anxiety medication was related to the shock of your son being diagnosed with diabetes.
If I recall, I told them there were both things. I have anxiety from both things. There's my issues, and there's also issues with my son.
Wasn't it true that when your son was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, you started having a lot of anxiety and struggling with that, and that's what prompted to see a doctor who prescribed the high blood pressure medication for you?
Yes.
Did he prescribe anxiety medication as well?
Yes.
Okay, and that was related to your son's diabetes, correct?
Yes.
You're not making a lost wage claim, are you?
No.
At least at the time of your deposition, you had been working full-time, including a side business for 1.5 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
And when I say full-time, when you're working for Allegiance, you're working 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday as a customer care representative. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And you didn't have any difficulty performing those tasks, did you?
No.
And your real water situation didn't impact your ability to do your job at all, did it?
No.
At least at the time of your deposition, you described your health is okay. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And that you did not have any current health concerns. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And you stopped taking the medication thioprin.
Azathioprine.
You stopped taking that,
Yes.
and that's good news.
Yes.
And you stopped taking those because your liver labs were coming back normal,
Yes.
and you didn't need to take that medication anymore. Is that correct?
Yes.
And your doctor wanted to try going without the medicine to see how your labs would do, correct?
Yes.
And isn't the great news that the labs didn't rise?
Yes.
And so they didn't put you back on it, correct?
Yes.
You still seeing Dr. Lindsay?
Yes.
Do you like that doctor?
I do.
Time of your deposition indicated you had not had labs, you had not run labs related to your liver, but as far as you know, there's no ongoing issues with your liver. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is it accurate to state that the total amount of time that you consume real water was approximately a 6-month period of time?
Yes.
You don't recall having any out-of-pocket medical expenses related to injuries in this lawsuit, do you?
I'm sorry, objection, Your Honor. I don't know if that's going to cause an issue. Thanks.
I'll tell you what, I think I know what your issue is.
Okay. You good?
Yeah, good. We're good, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You haven't had any mental health treatment related to the injuries you're claiming in this lawsuit, correct?
No.
And at least at the time of your deposition, you didn't have any future medical care or treatment plan related to the injuries claiming in this lawsuit, correct?
At the time of the deposition, I did not.
Okay, well, that was 5 months ago. So what's changed in the 5 months?
When I went to see my general practitioner, I changed doctors, and she started my labs again in December.
Sorry, what?
She started my labs again in December.
Right, but your labs have still been normal,
Yes.
correct? That's the great news. Continues?
Yes.
All right. I want to talk about Dr. Sands. You understand, what is your understanding of what Dr. Sands recommended, if anything?
That I need to see a therapist for the post-traumatic stress syndrome.
And it was your understanding that Dr. Sands' position was until you saw a healthcare provider to evaluate you and to create a plan for you in terms of future care, that would be unknown. You had to do that first. Do you understand that?
I don't know how to answer that question.
Okay. Do you understand you had to go see a healthcare provider first?
Yes.
You haven't done that.
No, I have not.
And you understand is once you saw a healthcare provider, that healthcare provider was going to set up a plan for you.
Yes.
And of course, that hasn't been done, correct?
No.
Okay, that's what I mean by it. I'm not trying to be smart.
Yeah. No.
You got to do one to do the other.
Yeah.
And neither one or two has been done. It was a pleasure talking to you. I'm sorry I was under these circumstances. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Parker. Just briefly, Your Honor. Ms. Bourdonnais, Mr. Johnson raised an issue about how things were after you left Keck. Everything's been okay. Do you recall how long you had to stay in Los Angeles after being released from Keck on March 11, 2018?
Yeah, I had to stay in Los Angeles for several weeks because I had to go back and forth to the doctor every other day.
And why is that?
They wanted to check my liver panels and ensure that it was continuing to come down.
And while you were doing that, where were your children?
Here in Las Vegas with my husband.
Did eventually you had to go back into the hospital?
Yes. On I got out of the hospital and my husband and children came to visit me in California for a few days.
Do you remember on March 14th going to MLK Hospital in California?
Yes.
Were you taken by ambulance that time?
Yes.
So 3 days after being released, you're back into another ambulance.
Yes.
And were you taken from that ambulance from your mother's house, I believe,
Yes.
back to Keck Hospital?
Yes.
And what were your symptoms then?
I actually passed out. My daughter found me where I could barely speak. I was trying to just take a shower and I didn't have the strength and trying to use the bathroom. And so my husband had to come and get me cleaned up. He had to call 911 because I was unresponsive. He said I just wouldn't wake up. My eyes were open, but I was unresponsive.
And then, do you recall going back to Centennial Hospital after returning to Las Vegas in May of 2019?
Yes.
Similar symptomology
Yes.
to your recollection?
Yes.
Do you recall, in fact, getting your liver tested last year?
Yes.
So despite what Mr. Johnson said, you've continued to get your liver tested.
Yes.
When did your son become diagnosed with diabetes?
October 8th, 2023.
2023. Let me have you take a look at Exhibit 15428. 15428, Shane? And you can blow that up. First, I want to see the date. It says March 16, 2021. See that?
Yes.
All right, and I want you to go down, Shane, to the past medicals. Slow down right there. You on the camera?
Yeah, you can.
Anxiety, autoimmune hepatitis, chronic kidney disease in the middle. But that's before your son was diagnosed with diabetes. Is that correct?
Yes.
But after you started consuming real water.
Yes.
Nothing further. Thank you, Ms. Boardman.
Thank you. I can go
I'll follow up, Your Honor. I publish Ms. Bourdonna's deposition, please. Thank you. Look at this for a second. Harper's asking you about anxiety, and I was talking to you about anxiety, prescriptions for anxiety. Is it your testimony you were on anxiety medication when you were going to the hospital?
No.
You weren't. You weren't on anxiety medication until it related, don't mean keep bringing up your son, but it was related to your son's condition, correct?
So at that time, that my main focus was my son, but it was a culmination. I've had anxiety and been stressed out, overwhelmed since this happened.
But when you initially went to see the doctor for anxiety, it was related to your son's diabetes diagnosis, correct?
Yes, yes,
And you were prescribed medication for your anxiety,
yes.
and that was Propanol. Is that what it was?
Propanolol.
And it doubled for anxiety and blood pressure, correct?
Yes,
And that's when that prescription was provided to you, when you went to go see the doctor regarding the anxiety you were having related to your son's diabetes.
yes.
Okay. Then we don't need to impeach you. Thank you, ma'am.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Parker, anything further?
No, I think we're good. I think Mr. Johnson realizes.
I do have a picture, question from the jury, Your Honor.
I thought you was about to let me down, Mike. You leaving me up here longer? I thought you was about to let me get down. Now I got to stay up here longer.
All right, ma'am, we have a couple questions for you,
Okay.
and both are from juror number 4, Mr. Dixon. And here's his first question. I quote, "The doctor stated you were going to die in a few days. Was that diagnosis based on their medical opinion or something that they found at the time confirming that will happen?"
From my understanding, they were, because of the level that my AST and ALT numbers were rising, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. If I didn't receive it, they were telling me if I didn't receive a liver transplant in the next few days, that I would die, because they couldn't figure out why my numbers were rising so fast.
And we have one more question from Mr. Dixon, juror number 4. Quote, "At the time when you started to feel better, do you think it was the treatment plans the doctors were giving you that were making you feel better, or something else?"
The treatment plans, because without the treatment plan, I don't know what would have happened.
I only have one follow-up. I thought those were very good questions, good responses, but on the second response, I want to make sure we're on the same page. Are you speaking of the treatment plan related to the autoimmune hepatitis?
Yes,
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure that we hit that. And so once you were diagnosed with autoimmune hepatitis, you realize that's a forever illness?
yes,
Okay. And then they give you a treatment plan to address it through the use of steroids and various types of steroids?
yes,
Okay. And from that point on, I believe the question was, did you start feeling better and start getting better?
yes,
All right. All right. Are you aware through your subsequent care that it can come back?
yes,
And in fact, did it come back the following year in 2019?
yes,
Did it come back again in 2020?
yes,
Did it, after 2020, I believe in 21 is when they started decreasing your prednisone?
Yes.
Or as a
thiopurine, yes.
That's right. All right. No, nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, just a brief follow-up, as we all like to say. is the treatment plan, it really wasn't a treatment plan, it was, I'm gonna give you some medication, your liver's down, and when your liver enzymes stay down, we'll stop giving you the steroids.
Yes.
Okay. And when counsel was talking to you about any issues you've had with your liver since, you're saying that that's hasn't happened since what year?
2021.
2021.
Yes.
And maybe it was in your medical records, I didn't see it, about you dying. So they said if you don't get a liver transplant, you'll die.
Yes.
Correct? And so they were wrong. You didn't need a liver transplant.
No.
And you're here today.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Nothing further, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
There's no thing.
Oh, yeah.
The book?
Courtney, can you grab that exhibit book for me? Thank you so much.
So from the plaintiff's perspective, what do we have next, Mr. Kemp?
Yeah, Judge, I think we can squeeze one of the plaintiffs on, maybe we'll be running till 12:10 or 12:15.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, plaintiff's called Glenn Morris.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you are about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
May I have you state and spell your name for the record?
Glenn Morris, GlenMorris.
Thank you.
Please be cautious, that's yours.
Morning, Glenn.
Good morning.
I refer to you as Glenn as we do this.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, jurors. Good morning, Your Honor. Mr. Quarters and clerks. Glenn, is this your first time testifying in court?
Yes, sir.
Feel any nerves, jitters, or anything?
Slightly.
Okay. Well, let's break the ice then a little bit. Introduce you to the jury. Could you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury a little bit about yourself?
My name is Glenn Morris. I'm from California. I was born in Michigan. I have 2 children. I'm a veteran of the United States Army. I've been in Vegas since 2008. And I have 2 children. Sophia, she's 19. And I have a son named Jabbar. He is 6 years old.
Glenn, you mentioned you're in the Army. First, thank you for your service. Real quick, I want to circle back to something on that. Earlier this week, a Dr. Sands testified that you had been deployed while you're in the Army. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
And where were you deployed to?
Baghdad, Iraq.
And after you came back from the Army, were you diagnosed with anything?
Yes, PTSD.
All right. Let's transition to why you're here today. Approximately when did you first drink real water?
Early 2020.
And what got you into real water?
What got me into real water is that it was an alkaline-based water, and in the health community, they speak about alkaline water being like the best type of water.
Is your health important to you?
Yes, sir.
You take it seriously?
Yes, sir.
And after you started to drink real water, was there a time you started to not feel well?
Yes.
Could you please tell the jury what you started experiencing?
Lost the appetite. Couldn't swallow any food. Fatigue. Pain whenever I try to swallow. Yeah.
Was there anything else you were experiencing at this time?
Dizziness.
All right. And was there a point that all of this got to a place you couldn't ignore it anymore?
I couldn't swallow no food.
So what'd you do about that?
I went to the hospital.
So, well, before going into your hospital, I have here an exhibit with pages from your medical records that I'm going to ask you to take a look at. Your Honor, may I approach?
Has it been admitted?
No, I'm going to ask you to get into that. Glenn, what I just handed you has been marked as Exhibit 361, base numbers 361-1 through 15. Glenn, can you tell me what these documents are?
Medical records.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we move to the Exhibit 361.
No objection, no.
Apologies. So, Glenn, circling back, you just said you went to the hospital. Which hospital did you go to?
Went to the VA hospital.
Do you remember when you went to the VA?
It was early May.
And
May 2020.
May of 2020. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, how did you get to the hospital?
My friend Luke, one of my Army buddies, he drove me to the hospital.
And what were you feeling on your way to the hospital with all this going on?
Since it was the middle of COVID, I didn't know what to think. So I had another one of my buddies come with me because the way I was feeling and the way the restrictions were in the hospital, they wouldn't let nobody come with you. So I didn't want to go in the hospital alone because I didn't think I was going to come out. I didn't know if I had COVID or whatnot. So my friend Luke asked the people in the hospital if I can have somebody come inside with me.
Were you able to have someone come in with you?
Yes, sir.
And after you went in, were you admitted to the VA?
Yes.
What do you recall happening while you were admitted at the VA?
They did some tests on me.
As part of those tests, did they check your AST and your ALT levels?
Yes, sir.
So, do you remember what those were?
Well, according to this paperwork, they were pretty high.
So, Glenn, directing your attention to page 1, following your testing at the VA, your AST level was, and it's towards the bottom, thank you, was 217, and your ALT was 159. Does that sound right?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember the doctors discussing this with you?
Slightly.
What do you recall about that?
Those levels weren't, they were extremely high.
And did the doctors diagnose you with anything?
Ulcer colitis.
Did they diagnose you with anything else?
I can't recall.
All right, Glenn, we're going to move over to page 2. Under a section called assessment, as you mentioned, colitis, abdominal pain, as well as hyperglycemia, elevated liver function tests, and a small pericardial effusion. Did your doctors discuss this with you?
I believe so.
And what was your understanding of these diagnoses?
Well, they just gave me some antibiotics.
So after giving the antibiotics, how much longer were you in the hospital?
Say that again?
How much longer were you in the hospital after being given the antibiotics?
A few hours.
So you were discharged the same day you were admitted?
Yes.
Did your doctors tell you to follow up with anyone?
I believe like a gastrologist.
Did you do that?
Yes, I did.
All right. So after your discharge from the VA, did you continue to drink real water?
Yes, I did.
And did you continue to experience any of the issues that led you to this hospitalization?
Well, months later, I went back to the hospital.
Okay, what led you back to the hospital?
I was feeling really weak. I'm feeling weak. You know, I like to say if my body was a cell phone, then my battery level was like 10%. And there was something I knew I couldn't ignore. I had to do something about it. I couldn't just wait till it just went away.
And were you experiencing anything else at this time?
I was super fatigued. I just felt like floating. I just didn't have like that energy like I usually have.
All right, so you mentioned you went back to the hospital. Which hospital did you go to this time?
I went back to the VA hospital.
And do you recall when this was?
This was like, I think it was like October 29th, 2020.
Okay. And were you admitted to the hospital again?
Yes, but this time they transferred me to UMC from the VA hospital.
So before we get to the transfer, did they run any tests on you?
Yes,
And did they test your AST and your ALTs again?
I believe so.
Do you recall what those were?
No, because it's been so long, man. It's a few years now. It's hard for me to remember those type of details.
So, Shane, can we please go to page 3 of 361? Oh, page 3, please. They got no different numbers. There. And towards the top, it says your AST level was 6,334 at this time, and your ALT was 688 at this time. Did your doctors discuss these levels with you?
I'm sure they did.
Do you recall anything they told you?
Sure, they took me upstairs. It was all like, it's been a long time, you know, so details like that, I wasn't even really focused on, man. I was just trying to get better.
So you previously mentioned they transferred you at this time. Were they discussing that transfer with you?
Say that again?
You previously mentioned that they transferred you during this time, talking about your levels and everything. Did they talk about transferring you at that time?
Yes.
Okay. And were you transferred?
Yes, I was.
Do you recall where you were transferred?
To UMC.
Now, what day were you transferred to UMC?
That same day.
Now, once you're transferred to UMC, what do you recall happening there?
Well, as soon as I got there, the doctor asked me what I was doing here. I'm like, man, I just came on an ambulance. You don't know.
So it's fair to say you weren't sure what was going on with you this time?
No.
Did the doctors at UMC do any tests on you?
Yes, they did.
All right. And when you first arrive, do you recall if they tested your AST and your ALTs again?
I'm sure they did.
So
I just can't recall like exactly what test they were doing.
Yeah, it's okay. Going to page 5 of Exhibit 361 then, towards the middle, when you're admitted, it indicates your AST and your ALT were elevated to 8,310 and 1,272. And it also indicates that you were being treated for acute liver injury, possibly drug-induced. Did your doctors discuss this with you?
Yes.
And what was your understanding of all that?
I didn't have no understanding because I didn't know why I was here, why I was there.
Did that make you scared?
Yeah.
So what was going through your mind then?
I'm just trying to get help. I was just trying to get help. I didn't want to focus on, I try not to focus on being scared. I just want to focus on just getting well, feeling better.
And part of that getting well, were you admitted to UMC for a period of time?
Yeah, I was there, I think about 4 days or so.
All right. Real quick, just going to the top of page 5, indicates you were admitted on October 30th of 2020 and discharged on November 3rd of 2020. Does that sound right?
Yes.
And while you're at UMC, what are you experiencing? Are you still experiencing the loss of appetite, the fatigue?
Well,
What's going on with you?
now I'm starting to feel better. I was eating. And as the days went by, I gained more energy.
Were you drinking real water while you were hospitalized?
No.
So is it fair to say you started feeling better when you weren't drinking real water?
Yes, sir.
Did the doctors at UMC continue to test you?
Yes, they did.
And Over the course of your stay, did your AST and ALT levels remain elevated?
I'm not sure. I know they released me once I felt better.
All right, prior to getting to your release then, going to page 7 of Exhibit 361. In the middle of that document, do you see where your ALT and AST levels remained elevated throughout your entire stay at UMC?
Yes, I do.
And your highest AST was 8,310, and your highest ALT was 1,955. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
And also during this time, they were testing your INR, which is down below a little bit. And your highest INR was 6.91. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Did your doctors tell you what these elevated levels meant for you?
They discussed with me of I'm possibly going to need a liver transplant.
What was that like hearing you might need a liver transplant?
It was shocking. It was shocking, and that was pretty scary to hear.
Are you a guy that normally scares easily?
So what?
Do you normally scare easily?
No.
All right, so you mentioned you started to feel better.
Yes, sir.
And your first hospital stay was during the pandemic. Was this hospital stay also during the pandemic?
Yes.
Were you still having some of those same concerns and fears?
Yeah.
And what were you feeling at that time?
What was I feeling?
Mm-hmm.
I had so much, because I try to study like health stuff, like being fit, and I figured if I keep on drinking this alkaline water, I'm gonna feel better, because alkaline heals your body, and alkaline, once you alkalize your body, then it makes you kind of like immune to stuff. So I really had my faith in my water that I was drinking, and yeah, I figured if I could drink this water, I'll feel better.
Now, circling back, you said you weren't drinking real water while you were hospitalized, though.
Correct.
And you started to improve.
Yes.
And at a certain point, you were discharged from UMC.
Yes, sir.
Do you recall what your doctors told you about sending you home?
Yeah, they'll get back with me. They'll follow up.
And did you follow up with any doctors?
I follow up with the VA.
All right. And do you recall how many times you followed up with the VA?
No, I don't.
So,
maybe a few times. I'm not sure, because yeah, I'm not sure.
So, direct your attention, if you just take a quick look at documents 10 through 15, and just give those a quick look. If that refreshes your recollection at all about following up after being discharged.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So you did follow up with the doctors after being
Yep.
being discharged. Okay. And after being discharged, did you resume drinking real water?
Yes, I did.
And at some point, did you stop drinking real water?
Yes.
When was that?
Early 2021.
And as you sit here today, do you still feel like you have any issues associated with real water?
Yep. Like I try to see if a whole week can pass if I don't have no stomach complications, and sometimes a week would pass, but not 2 weeks, where I'm going to be bloated and lose appetite, and really just stomach indigestion. Yeah, it's pretty much.
Did you ever experience that before drinking real water?
No, I haven't. I don't recall.
So, shifting gears here, to the extent Dr. Hudson has recommended future medical monitoring, various blood work and scans. Are you committed to seeking such treatment for yourself?
Yes, sir.
And to the extent that Dr. Sands recommends future neuropsychological and psychological evaluations and care, are you committed to following those recommendations?
Yes, sir.
Now, final question, Glenn. How has all this affected you?
It's hard to focus sometimes because of stomach complications. I have a lot of things I need to do, but once I have those complications, it's hard for me to focus because getting rid of it is important for me. It seems like I can't focus. Sometimes I lose appetite. Sometimes I gotta force myself to eat. Let's try to stay strong through it all.
Well, thank you for sharing, Glenn. Those are all the questions I have at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor. Give me just one moment. Good afternoon, Mr. Morris.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, afternoon, ladies and members of the jury. Mr. Morris, you may know me already. My name is Michael Esposito. I'm an attorney for Real Water. And as we did with Ms. Chang, primarily what I want to do today is walk you through some of the things that you testified to at your deposition, and then ask you some follow-up questions about your past and how you're feeling today, okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, first and foremost, Mr. Morris, and I mean this sincerely, I'm very cognizant of the impact that deployment to Baghdad can have on a person, and I imagine you know what I'm talking about. Part of the conversation today is going to be some communication between us about your experience there, your PTSD, because we have to get a baseline idea of what your condition was prior to drinking Real Water. I don't want you to take it personally. I don't want you to feel attacked, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, let's get started. Now, you said you have 2 children, Jabbar and Sophia, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Jabbar lives in Detroit with his mother?
Yes.
And you, on opportunity, get to fly out and see them?
Yes, I'll be moving out there to be with them.
That was my next question. You testified deposition, you're working on moving to Detroit. How's that going?
It's going.
Yeah, do we have a timeline?
Possibly next week.
Oh, well, let's get this done then. And then, let's see, Sophia's out living on her own,
Yes,
correct?
sir.
Okay. So just to clear the record, Sophia and Jabbar weren't in any way drinking Real Water or harmed by Real Water.
My son, I had a little bit of it.
But we'd be guessing at this point.
Nah, I ain't guessing. I know I fed him with his baby bottle some Real Water.
Okay. And no doctor's visits. I asked because we haven't seen any medical records to that
Right.
effect. Yeah. So let's see here. And you testified that you are, because I think you were working on a degree in nutrition, right?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And you said you testified health is very important to you and you watch what you put in your body, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And from what I understand, you're a bit of a gym nut or a gym
Yes.
rat, as they call them?
I call myself a gym shark.
Okay. So how often do you go to the gym?
I like to go at least 4 times a week,
Okay.
if not every day.
And what kind of, are we doing free weights,
I'm
cardio?
doing free weights, resistance.
Cardio?
Not really cardio, but I do cardio. My form of cardio in the gym is going from, it's not taking too many rest breaks. It's going from one machine to another.
Sure. Yeah. After my own heart, cardio is not my favorite either. When you're doing the workout, you're saying you're doing 4 or 5 days a week. How long are you at the gym for?
2 to 3 hours.
Okay. And how long have you been going through this workout regimen?
8 years.
Okay. So this actually predates Real Water, and you've been able to continually do this throughout.
Yeah, I've been working out at the gym for 8 years, but 2 years before that, I was working out at the house. And on the street, I'll run around the park. So a total of 10 years, 8 years in the gym.
Okay. Fantastic. And just as far as you sit here today, this is something that you've been continually doing, like I said, pre and post real water.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Okay. It's great news. You said you were in the Army and deployed to Baghdad, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you testified that you were diagnosed with PTSD,
Yes.
and that was a result of your time in Baghdad.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you give the jury a little bit of an understanding of what you went through that caused the PTSD to the extent that you're able to, sir, with all due respect?
No problem. I was in a camp called Camp Rustamaya. And in August 2006, there was a Rolling Stones article with Johnny Depp on the cover, Pirates of the Caribbean. It had a big article about Camp Rustamaya, which was one of the most dangerous camps in Baghdad. I can recall dodging missiles. Dodging missiles and rockets. And my camp used to get hit about once or 20 times a day.
Your camp was hit by rockets?
Yes, sir. Camp Rustamaya.
1 to 20 times a day?
1 to 20 times a day.
So fair to say that on a daily basis, you were in fear for your life?
Yeah, I was in fear, but I had good sergeants that really trained us. I could say that we was kind of overtrained.
Sure.
So we dealt with things accordingly.
Okay. And I have to ask the hard question. Did you ever lose a friend or a colleague, another soldier?
Yes, I lost another soldier. Yes, it was other soldiers that I lost. But my whole platoon came back.
Excellent.
We
Okay.
still got hit.
Of course. Yeah. That's just, the point being, that's a lot to go through, correct?
Yes.
And it obviously had a toll on you psychologically and emotionally. And so,
Yes, sir.
and again, going through your deposition testimony, please correct me if any of this is wrong, okay?
All right.
I believe you testified that as a result, you feel anxious in crowds or places that you can't control. Is that still the case?
Yes.
Okay. And that's the case as we sit here today.
Correct.
Okay. Has that anxiety ever gone down after you got out of the Army?
It all depends. Like, if I'm around a place for a while, then I adjust.
Okay. But it takes time.
It takes time.
Understandable. Okay. And then I also read that you had trouble sleeping, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you been dealing with that? We'll call it insomnia, for lack of a better word.
I deal with it still.
Okay. And I believe you testified that you were having nightmares or night terrors, something along those lines?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Not too often.
Okay. What other symptoms were you reporting to your medical providers after you got out of the Army?
It's just basically it's anxiety. Basically what we just discussed.
Okay. Fair to say it's fairly severe anxiety, given the limitations it imposed on your life? Okay. At any point in time, let's divide this up into 2 time periods for the jury, okay? So we're going to talk before the real water incident and after, okay? You understand where I'm going?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So before the real water incident, this anxiety was having a pretty dramatic impact on your life, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And that continued after the real water incident?
Yes.
Okay. And so, let me see here. At some point in time before the real water incident, you were diagnosed with a few additional medical conditions, correct, that impacted your life?
Maybe, probably.
Okay. Let me read a few off to you and just see if you can confirm, okay?
Yes, sir.
Pericarditis?
Yeah.
Okay. Adjustment disorder?
Sounds about right.
Okay. Alcohol dependence?
Objection, Your Honor. Can we approach?
Not really.
Oh, you know what, Mr. Morris, we're going to talk to the judge real quick, and then we'll come right back to this, okay?
The objections shall be sustained.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. All right. So, Mr. Morris, getting back to your condition prior to the real water incident. In 2017, you were admitted for suicidal ideation, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And were you here when Dr. Sands was using you as an example, discussing that particular event?
No.
Okay. And at that time, you were diagnosed with depressive disorder or major depressive disorder. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
Okay. You were prescribed psychiatric medication as a result?
Yes.
Okay. Did you take that medication?
Yeah, I did. I remember taking some medication.
Okay. Do you recall testifying that you decided not to take the medication at a certain point?
At a moment, because when I was definitely on a medication when I self-admitted myself, and they had some when I left they gave me some.
Okay. And in fact, you had been prescribed medications well before the 2017 incident, isn't that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you recall when you were first prescribed? Let's go through these individually. You can confirm that you were prescribed these medications and you can tell me when, okay?
Your Honor, we object, this is irrelevant.
Can we approach?
Okay. Mr. Morris, thank you for your patience. Okay.
Your Honor, was the objection sustained?
Sustained, thank you.
Okay. So, Mr. Morris, skipping over anything that happened before drinking the real water, let's get into your testimony as to what actually happened, okay? All right. So, at one point in October of 2020, I think it was the second visit, you were transferred to UMC for tests, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did the doctors explain to you that that was because UMC had the equipment that was necessary to do the testing?
That is correct.
Okay. So they weren't transferring you to UMC the way that somebody may be transported to a liver transplant center, right?
No.
Okay. Because I think your
They have
testimony was...
equipment over there.
I'm sorry?
They used to have their equipment.
Okay. I believe it was the doctor, when you first arrived, I think it was your testimony, didn't know why you had been transferred in the first place?
That is correct.
Okay. And you were discharged from there after 4 days of testing and treatment, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then you stopped drinking real water in February of 2021, is that accurate?
Around that time?
Okay. So even after your discharge, you were drinking real water for a little while?
Yes.
Okay. But that extreme fatigue hasn't come back, correct?
Not since.
Okay. Let's go through, you said you're still suffering a couple of conditions here. So let's start with, let's see, fatigue has gone away. You said you were having trouble swallowing. I assume that's resolved itself as well?
Yes.
And that resolved itself right after the trip to the hospital the second time?
Yes.
Okay. Dizziness, lightheadedness?
Yeah, I don't really get that.
Okay. Even on leg day?
Leg days every day I go to the gym.
You're a better man than I am. Okay. Let's see. Now, you said that you had no energy. I assume that goes with the fatigue and the dizziness and everything you suffered the second time, right? Okay. So as far as I can tell, outside of some indigestion issues, the symptoms resolve themselves right after you get out of the hospital.
Those simple ones, yeah.
Okay. And the VA has given you pills that stop the indigestion, the stomach acid issues, right?
Correct.
Okay. And those typically work?
For the most part.
Okay. And so when you say a week hasn't gone by, or you hope that a week goes by without stomach issues, if that stomach issue comes up, you take the pill, you're fine, right?
Sometimes it takes a little longer. It's not like an automatic magic pill or anything like that.
Okay. When you say it takes a little bit longer, I think you testified deposition takes about a day.
Yeah.
At worst?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, do you recall your doctors recommending that for part of that treatment you avoid certain food triggers?
Yeah, that was like the first time.
Okay.
I was hospitalized.
So do you have any understanding if anything else in your diet has been contributing to the indigestion of the acid?
Yeah, nah, nothing else in my diet.
Okay. Now, around the time of your deposition, the last lab test you had done, I believe you testified were in 2022. Do you recall?
If that's what I said in the deposition.
Okay. As you sit here today, do you recall when the last time was that you had blood work done?
2021, 2022, something like that. You know, I lost both of my parents in the last couple of years, so I was focused on that as well.
I imagine that had to be a priority, yeah?
Indeed.
My apologies. Again, we're going to go past that. It's not that we don't care about that, Mr. Morris, but we've got to
Understood.
stay focused on real water, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So as a result of those tests, no doctor recommended a liver transplant in 2022?
No, no doctor did.
Okay. No doctor recommended any kind of a surgery as a result of those lab tests, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And my understanding is you had a CT scan done in May of 2020. Is that also correct?
Probably.
Okay. Do you recall the results of that CT scan?
No.
Okay. Counsel, we're going to be moving to admit from Proper Foundation Exhibit 363, pages 18 through 20. You can take a look at that. No objection? Okay.
That was 363.
It will be 363 pursuant to Nevada statute. This is going to be a partial of the original exhibit that was lodged with the court. So this will be the reduced exhibit 363.
The hard copy is also-
Yes. Thank you, Tori. Mr. Morris, I have one. Excuse me, Honor Pro.
As you may, sir.
Okay.
Admitted.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Mr. Morris, I'm handing you radiology reports from that piece that involved the results of that CT scan. Can you give that a quick look and let me know if you recognize the document?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to direct you up to the top third of the page. You see where it says exam date May 9th, 2020?
Yes.
Okay. So then I'm going to have you move over to page 36319. Now I'll represent to you that at the top of this page, it's going through the results of the scan and your other testing. Okay?
Okay.
You see where it says the liver is grossly unremarkable?
Yes.
The gallbladder is grossly unremarkable.
Yes.
We'll move down. Do you see where it says the bilateral kidneys are grossly unremarkable?
Yes.
Okay. Now, during this testing, the doctors didn't find anything of concern relating to the real water incident, did they?
I'm supposed to know.
Well, I'm asking you if the doctors talked to you about this.
This is from 2020. Nobody even knew nothing about that.
Okay. Let me see here. Have you done similar CT scans after the fact?
I'm not sure. Probably.
Okay. At any point in time, has anyone told you the CT scan came back as anything but grossly unremarkable?
I'm not sure, sir.
Has any doctor ever told you that you have fibrosis?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And you recall doing psychiatric testing with Dr. Sands? He's testified in this case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you recall Dr. Sands finding that your language abilities were within the average range?
Sounds about right to me.
Okay. Your cognitive abilities were within the average range?
Sounds about right.
Okay. Do you remember getting a similar diagnosis from your treating physicians?
I can't recall.
Okay. Do you recall your executive functioning abilities being within the normal range?
Sounds about right to me.
Okay. Now, do you recall Dr. Sands putting up a chart of the various reasons that he believed that you needed treatment in the future?
I remember showing me some charts.
Okay. Did Dr. Sands ever walk through what he considered when he was evaluating whether or not you need future treatment?
He did tell me I would need future treatment.
He didn't tell you why?
Well, he just recommended further medical monitoring and psychological monitoring.
Okay. And you know that was based on responses that you provided to him, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're aware that as a result of that, you provided information to him about your condition prior to drinking real water?
I'm sure.
Do you have any understanding as to whether or not that information became part of his diagnosis?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm sure, probably. I mean, he's a doctor. I'm sure he can put all that together.
Okay. Are you currently seeing a psychiatrist?
Currently, no, but I'm looking forward to.
Okay. When's the last time you went and saw a psychiatrist?
I don't recall.
A while ago, right?
A while ago, last few years.
Okay. And you were seeing a psychiatrist prior to the real water incident as well?
Yes.
Okay. So when the real water incident occurred, you were already seeking psychiatric treatment for your condition?
Not at the moment. Not in 2020. Not that I recall.
Okay. 2017?
Yes, indeed, of course. That's when I self-admitted myself.
Okay. 2018?
Probably, yep.
Okay. 2019?
2019. It's a possibility.
Okay. And so one of the reasons I ask is at deposition, you were asked the question that you were not claiming psychological or emotional injury as a consequence of the consumption
Yeah,
of
because
real
you know
water.
what? This is not easy to talk about, man.
Okay.
Enough to be in this courtroom. If I knew I would have stayed away from y'all water. If I knew I had to deal with this, man, this is enough.
Okay. So you're on. One, move to strike
Shit.
is non-responsive, Your Honor. Two, Mr. Morris, let me ask you a question. As you sit here today, were you correct when you testified under oath that you are not seeking psychological or emotional injury as a consequence of consuming real water?
Did I tell the truth? No, I didn't tell the truth. Like I said, I don't like talking about that, man.
Okay.
It's something I try to ignore.
Okay.
It's enough that I'm in this courtroom talking about it.
Other than the
Like, seeing
medication,
psychologist.
there's no question pending, Mr. Morris. I need you. Let's work
Right on,
together to
sorry
get
about
you
that.
off the. It's fine.
Sorry about that.
It's a stressful situation. That's why I'm just trying to get you off this as quickly as possible. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, no liver transplant or recommended liver transplant, correct? We're just going to sum up and we'll be done here. So, no liver transplants?
I haven't received one.
Okay. Nobody's told you that or is planning a liver transplant in the future?
Nope. Only that time when I was in UMC.
Okay. And the only medication you're taking that may be related to real water is for the indigestion, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Routine monitoring, nothing outside the scope of your standard checkups with the Veterans Association, right?
I need to go see a doctor.
We all do.
Y'all know, right?
But again, getting back to the question, so you go to the VA, you do your standard checkups, you have some blood work done. That's typically what you're doing monitoring-wise, right?
Yes.
Okay. And as you sit here today, there's not a treating physician that you see that has said you're going to need treatment in the future as a result of drinking real water?
No, I haven't seen a doctor
Okay.
recently.
Okay. Well, Mr. Morris, I appreciate you humoring me on this. Thank you very much. And I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Any redirect? Okay, you may go. Thank you, Your Honor. We have one question, and it's from Mr. Dixon again. juror number 4, quote, would you say your current condition is based off of what you experienced in the military or from drinking real water or both?
I wouldn't say it's from the military. No. No.
All right, any follow-up on that question?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, sir. Thank you.
Let's take this up here.
Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you think it's lunchtime? I do. And remember, you're admonished not to converse amongst yourselves with anyone else on any subject matter connected with this case or trial, or to read, watch, or listen to any report or commentary on the trial by any persons connected with this case or by any medium of information, including without limitations, newspaper, television, radio. Remember the social media prohibition. And last but not least, do not form or express any opinion on any subject connected with the trial until the cause is finally submitted to you. And 155.
155, Your Honor. All rise to depart to the jury.
All right, thank you, sir. And before we bring Mr. Esposito, if you wanted to make a record or offer a proof, we can do that right now. Real quick.
You know, and it's tough without the witness on the stand, but I would just like the record to reflect that Dr. Sands did provide multiple diagnoses that relate to conditions that were pre-existing at the time of the real water incident. Testimony would have shown, consistent with deposition testimony and multiple medical records, including exhibits 364 and 346, 1206, 364, 363. 364, 363, and 362.
Right.
That Mr. Morris's behavioral conditions, specifically including his time in Iraq, his PTSD, his alcohol dependence, all directly related to the treatment that Dr. Sands is recommending and contributed to the imposition of factors that had nothing to do with real water. So to the extent that the plaintiffs are asking for damages or compensatory damages arising from Dr. Sands' opinions, the offer of proof would have shown that those numbers are inflated or at least partially related to damages that were incurred by Mr. Morris prior to the real water incident. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor, that exact question was asked from the juror, and counsel chose not to do any sort of follow-up whatsoever.
Because I was informed by the court that I was not allowed to advance into those areas of inquiry, Your Honor.
You could have done a follow-up.
Anyway, I think we made a pretty good record sidebar, right?
I think so, Your Honor.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the Williams case, we talked about all the other issues, and we had a nice vigorous discussion. All right, I just want to make sure you make your record, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
155, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.